now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores everywhere today. Recently, actress Gal Gadot announced that there would be a Wonder Woman 3 and that it was under development as part of the DC Cinematic Universe being established by James Gunn and Peter Safran. And a few days after Gal Gadot made her announcement that there would be a Wonder Woman 3, Warner Brothers executives announced that there wouldn't be a Wonder Woman 3 and that the film has no development plans at this point. Now, what's really interesting to me about this whole situation about the Wonder Woman 3 movie is the response from the mainstream media and the response from fandom. Now, I'm noticing that I'm not hearing a whole lot of hostile responses as related to the white female Gal Gadot making her announcement about Wonder Woman 3 the way they were when black actor Dwayne Johnson made his announcements after Black Adam that one, Henry Cavill was returning as Superman, and also talked about his plans for the DC Extended Universe at the time as related to plans for a Superman versus Black Adam movie. Back then, I noticed there was a lot of hostility from Warner Brothers executives like James Gunn and Peter Safran, who quickly went out here and threw cold water on Dwayne Johnson's plans, and then later on announced that Henry Cavill would not be returning as Superman to star in a future Black Adam movie. I noticed that there were a lot of people going out here expressing anger towards Dwayne Johnson as related to the change of plans as related to the Black Adam movie and Henry Cavill's return as Superman being ended. I noticed a lot of people wanted to go out here and blame Dwayne Johnson for everything that went wrong with Black Adam at the box office and what went wrong as related to the plans of that movie. But I notice in contrast, as related to Gal Gadot making that announcement, I hear nothing but silence, not only from the mainstream media, but I hear nothing but silence from all of fandom. I notice with fandom, they basically have just gone all silent as related to this white woman making her announcements as related to her plans to bring Wonder Woman 3 into the new DC Cinematic Universe and seeing those plans scuttled. I notice I don't see all of the venom and vitriol that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got as related to his announcements of the DC Cinematic Universe and his plans, and that really shows me where there's, one, a clear double standard as related to fandom. Moreover, it shows me that it looks like fandom is looking to be very racist because they're sitting there going out here and wanting to blame Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for the failures as related to Black Adam 1 and want to also blame him for going out here and misleading Henry Cavill, and they also wanted to blame him for his so-called being arrogant as related to making plans for the DC Extended Universe or the DC Cinematic Universe at the time. They wanted to say how arrogant he was for making these plans. However, I have to ask a critical question. Was Gal Gadot being arrogant when she was going out here making her announcement about Wonder Woman 3? Was Gal Gadot being arrogant when she went out here and announced that there was going to be a Wonder Woman 3 and that a Wonder Woman 3 was in development? And is she responsible for the failure of the new DC Cinematic Universe for making this announcement? those are critical questions I gotta ask all these people in fandom who had all that smoke for Dwayne Johnson, but with Gal Gadot, you're basically sitting here silent and ain't got a word to say when this white woman makes an announcement about this DC property. You had all this anger and vitriol for Dwayne Johnson, but you got no smoke for Gal Gadot, and some of these people looking to possibly give Gal Gadot a pass, again showing me how racist many in fandom are. And when I look at the big picture as related to both Dwayne Johnson's situation and Gal Gadot's situation, I really see who the real enemy is. And the real enemy here, as related to both of these situations, is Warner Brothers executive management. Because it was Warner Brothers executive management that could have easily solved this whole problem by letting Gal Gadot know that you don't need to make any announcements until you get the word from us, or we will go out here and tell your publicist to go out here and present a press release as related to you being a part of the Wonder Woman movie. Because when it comes to Hollywood, all projects have to be greenlit and approved by executives before you start making any announcements about public relations campaigns. And this really, again, shows the complete failure of leadership under David Zaslav and under James Gunn and Peter Safran, because any good leader would have said all information has to go through me first before anyone comes out here with any sort of announcement as related to a project being greenlit. Excuse me for burping, but this is what anybody would do. If you're running a studio, the first thing you're going to do before you even go out here and greenlight a project is call all of the actors in and all of the staff so far and let them know up front that you don't say anything about the project until I want to go out here and release the press release, because the press release is the first part of the campaign as related to letting people know a project is going to be greenlit and going into production. That's all part of the PR team. But the whole thing, when I look at this whole Gal Gadot situation, it's the same thing as Dwayne Johnson's situation, a complete lack of leadership at the top. And it's that lack of leadership that basically is undermining James Gunn and Peter Safran the same way it did under Hamada when he was running the DC Extended Universe, and showed me that nothing has really changed from Warner Brothers as related to going from the old management with I believe Walter Hamada and Joss Whedon and all of these other individuals like Zack Snyder, to this new group with James Gunn and Peter Safran. You got new managers, but the same old incompetence that Warner Brothers has had ever since about 1980 when Superman 2 was in production. Now, back when Superman 2 was in production and the late Christopher Reeve was playing Superman, that whole movie was undermined by the Salkins, who decided to fire Richard Donner. And as they fired Richard Donner and looked to, again, meddle in the project, they then decided to hire Richard Lester, who finished Superman 2. And then the Salkins and Warner Brothers executives decided to put a little bit more comedy into Superman 3, basically torpedoing the franchise. And with every subsequent other Warner Brothers property as related to comic books, it's been undermined by executive meddling, and that meddling has sabotaged the '89 Batman franchise, and it also has sabotaged many other movies like Tank Girl and many other movies that were made by DC, and also went out here and sabotaged movies like Steel and many others that are a part of the DC Extended Universe. And it's a miracle we got the entire Nolan trilogy out of Warner Brothers, because they would have possibly screwed that up as well had that franchise not just been 3 movies. because Warner Brothers, it looks like to me, again, for the last 40 years, has been its own worst enemy. And they will have you going out here believing, oh, Dwayne Johnson was the one who made the mess. But when we look at what's happening here with Gal Gadot, we see that it's not Dwayne Johnson or Gal Gadot. It's a complete failure of leadership because, again, as someone who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years, I can tell you this kind of announcement is something that it may happen deliberately as related to a marketing stunt in some cases, but in this case, it's basically just showing incompetence because here you have an actress who was a part of a universe that was ended, is saying that she's going to be starring in a movie from a universe that was ended, but nobody in management goes out here and tries to stop this woman because that just shows again the incompetence of leadership. Because before anybody makes an announcement of anything in Hollywood, usually again this stuff has to be cleared by executives, it has to be cleared by managers, it has to be cleared by publicists. You just cannot go out here running your mouth on projects because usually if you're a contract player, you usually are bound by agreements, and you are bound by agreements to not talk about anything until the studio tells you you are to talk about it. Usually in these cases as related to upcoming projects, all the performers, all the managers, all the agents, everybody involved, nobody is supposed to say anything until the press release is released. That has always been the code as related to things. And again, confidentiality agreements are put in place. And that's where I look at this whole Wonder Woman 3 situation, and I just see a complete lack of leadership as related to DC Studios and a complete failure of the PR team at DC Studios. And again, showing me that Warner Brothers has a management problem because nobody should be out here talking about a project before it's greenlit, and nobody should be announcing anything until they get the official go-ahead from somebody in management. And again, when I first heard the story of Gal Gadot making this announcement, I already knew it was fishy because I said to myself, when the DC universe, extended universe, ended with The Flash, there was no way they could fit Gal Gadot in as Wonder Woman organically because it wouldn't jibe consistently if you've got a Superman legacy movie coming out with a new actor and you've got this older woman who was a part of the old DC universe being Wonder Woman. It just didn't flow organically. Why would you take a character from an old universe and put them in the new if you're starting fresh? It just really didn't really fit organically. But what's really shown here to me is, again, the failure of leadership, showing me that the new DC cinematic universe will be just as dysfunctional as the DC extended universe and as dysfunctional as the Batman 89 universe, as dysfunctional as the Tank Girl movie, as dysfunctional as the Losers movie, as dysfunctional as the Constantine movie, as dysfunctional as the Superman 3 and 4 movies. It's just going to be the same dysfunction, but they all want us to believe Dwayne Johnson is the bad guy. I mean, how is Dwayne Johnson the bad guy when we have Gal Gadot doing the exact same thing? And how is Dwayne Johnson the bad guy? And that's where I have to agree with Dwayne Johnson that there's definitely some racism going on among Warner Brothers and Fandom, because they had Dwayne Johnson like he was some big boogeyman looking to go out here and make all of these announcements. Again, this just shows the failure of Warner Brothers leadership, because if Warner Brothers leadership was in charge, they would have been out here letting Dwayne's people know he can't be talking about any projects, And he would have also let Gal Gadot know, oh, you shouldn't be talking about anything until we tell you to talk about it. But what they want to do is go out here and create racist double standards, because I don't see none of these YouTubers bringing smoke over to Gal Gadot. I don't see none of these comic YouTubers coming out making videos about Gal Gadot. I don't see people going out here and writing articles on these comic book websites about Gal Gadot or Wonder Woman 3, the way they was going out here bringing that heat to Dwayne Johnson, which clearly shows me how racist fandom is. Oh, the black guy is responsible for the failure of the DC Extended Universe. No, not the white executives who can go out here and allocate the money, can greenlight the projects, who have the real power. No, it's the black guy who was an actor in one of the movies. That's the guy who basically torpedoed the DC Extended Universe among some of these racists in fandom. But when a white woman, Gal Gadot, goes out here and says the exact same thing, I don't hear nobody talking about her. I don't hear nobody saying, oh, Gal Gadot destroyed DC Cinematic Universe. Gal Gadot is sabotaging the DC Cinematic Universe. Again, showing me how racist fandom is and how fandom has a clear double standard in between black and white. Now, if you want to pick up my first comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find that comic on Lulu.com right now and pick yourself up a paperback copy. And if you want to pick up some of my action-packed fantasy fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy and my vampire novel, Eternal Night, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos about comics, science fiction, and fantasy, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App to help me stay on the air. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Samurai Goddess. The Goddess Next Door takes on Kung Fu killers in this action-packed martial arts ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, ISIS, All That Glitters. The Goddess Next Door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.